Hi everyone, this is Glory. In today's tutorial, I'll be teaching you how to make 3 to 4 layers bead design. And without wasting much of your time, I'll be teaching you or showing you the tools that you'll be needing. First of all, you'll be needing a fishing line. This is what we call a fishing line. So fishing line comes in different sizes. This is 30 mm, but the one I'll be using is 60 mm. So the sizes differ in thickness. Like if you check pretty well, this one is 30 mm. It's kind of like lighter than this one. So it all depends on the kind of design you are doing. But this design, particularly the 3 to 4 layers design that we are about to achieve, I'll be using a 60 mm fishing line. Then you need a cutter, you need a clipper or a presser, you need a hook, and you need what we call a divider. So these are the simple tools that you'll be needing. Then finally, you'll be needing your crystal beads. It depends on the kind of bead you want to use. But in this video, I'll be using crystal beads. I like crystal beads because it shines, it doesn't fade. There are other kinds of beads, pearl bead, coral bead, and so on and so forth. But in this video, we'll be using a crystal bead. So first of all, and again, you have to get your dummy, your neck dummy. So we're going to start. I will first of all cut out a particular cm of my fishing line. It will not be too long, but just reasonable length. Either I use my scissors, I use my cutter. Then I didn't mention the stopper. Yes, I did mention the stopper. This is the stopper. This is what it looks like. They are very tiny. They are used to stop the bead from falling out. So you are going to see how I'm going to use it. Now, first of all, this is your hook. Since we are starting, we are doing it in layers. We start with the first layer. If you check pretty very well, it has so many layers. It has about 8 layers. So I'm going to start with the first one. I pass the fishing line through the first hole. Then I make sure that it's equal. If you really want to understand this video, just be patient. I make sure it's equal. Once I've gotten to the extreme of the fishing line, then I pick my stopper like this. Now this is my stopper. So now if you put this stopper, you have to clip it with your clipper or your presser. In the layman's language, we call it presser. So this is what we do. You have to clip it down. The essence of clipping it is to prevent it from falling out. So you have to clip it. It's now flat. So next, you start wearing your beads. When you are doing beads, you have to be patient. This is where the work comes in. You have to keep wearing your beads. So there's a particular length you reach. Let's take, for instance, you have to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 19. Then next comes your divider. So you place your divider, the first hole. So because this is the first layer, you make sure your divider goes outside like this, not inside. Don't worry, you understand what I mean by the time I'm done with the first layer. So after that, you continue wearing your beads. You keep doing that until you are done with the first layer. So you keep doing that. So when you have won the beads on the fishing line to a particular extent, now comes this is when your skeleton neck comes in. So you are going to measure it to see if they are all going. Now this is the first step. So this is what you are going to do. You are going to measure it. Now from the measurement, you discover that we still have a long way to go. So we are going to wear the bead down to the hook. So we'll continue. You keep doing that. When you wear, you measure. When you wear, you measure. So when you have placed the bead on the fishing line at a particular stage, you have to place your bead on the skeleton neck and take the measurement on the skeleton neck. So you discover that the bead is now aligned to where the divider was. So what you're going to do, you place another divider. Since they're all standing on the same length, place another divider so that it can balance up very well. So what the divider does is to help it balance up. So like I said, you have to place it on the first hole in the divider, not the last, not just anywhere. So after doing that, sorry, okay, I missed one of the fishing lines. So this is it. So after doing that, you still go back to your skeleton neck and check out for alignment. So like I said, let your dividers be out. Let it not be inside. Let it not be placed like this. Because if it's placed like this, so definitely the remaining parts of the beads will be going inside, will form inside the layers. But if it's placed outside, then the remaining parts of the beads will be formed outside the layers. So the second line comes in here, the third line, fourth line, depending on the beads you have. So like I said, we are doing 3 to 4 layers. So I'm assuming it should go around to 3 to 4 layers. So after placing the divider, I'll continue with the beads. So after wearing the beads, you take it back to your neck and keep doing the measurements. We're still on the first layer. So now you discover that it has gone perfectly round the neck. So this happens to be the first layer. So there are some persons that can take, depending on the beads you're wearing, your first layer can start like this. Your first layer can start this measurement, the second follows, the third follows, but I think I'll be preferring mine to fall down a bit because the person wearing this necklace might have a big neck. So it's preferred that you make it go down a bit so that if anybody that has a bigger or larger neck wears it, it's going to balance very well on the neck. So after doing that, I'll just go back to my stopper. I'll go back to my stopper and pick 2 of it. The stopper has holes. After going back to my stopper, I'll come back to my hook. Just watch what I'm doing. I pass it through the hook. After passing it through the hook, I pass it through the stopper. And drag it. So now we are done with the first line. So this is what we have. So at the back of the stopper, this is the hook. This is the first layer where I flattened up the stopper. I flattened it up. Then this is the other part of the stopper. You know, there are some people when they get to this part, they'll just tie the fishing line. When you tie the fishing line, it doesn't come out neat. It's not usually neat. So I'm teaching you how to use the stopper so that by the time you are doing your finishing, everything will come out perfectly well and neat. So that is what the stopper does. So after doing that, you can just take your clipper or your presser and flatten up the stopper. You know, the stopper is usually very round. Let me show you so that you understand what it looks like. Camera might be no. So what you do now is to flatten it up. If you don't flatten it up, it's going to roll down because it's like a ball. It has a baller kind of shape. A ball like. So what this thing does is to flatten it up. So now I'm done. Now this is the first step. The same goes to the second layer. You repeat the same process. So that is why I carefully did the first one so that when doing the second one it will not be difficult. You take part of the fishing line and cut. Just make sure it's long enough. I didn't measure it, but just make sure it's long enough. The same process is repeated. You double it, make sure it's together. Same process is repeated. You just have to move to the next one. So sometimes, because of the size of the beads, instead of you to take the fishing line to the next line, you can skip one line. You can skip one line because of the size of the beads. So that by the time they get together, they will not overlap each other. They will just balance up. So by the time you put the fishing line across the hole, you make sure that the fishing lines are equal. Next, you pick your stopper. If you're watching this channel, remember to subscribe, share your comments, click the like button. So after that, you continue the same process, the same way you did the first one. Then you start wearing your beads. You start wearing your beads. Like I said, when doing this, you have to be patient. You have to be patient because these holes are very tiny. You have to be patient with it. It's not something that you just rush and do. You have to be very patient so that you can fit in the fishing line inside the beads, the holes of the beads. So after you have won the beads, place it on your skeleton neck, and when you get to this point where the divider is, you have to pass it through the next hole of the divider. Just look at what I'm doing. If you like, you can skip. So the reason for skipping is just to make the beads, the crystal bead, balance up on the neck. So I have skipped one line of the divider. We are going to see what it looks like. So after skipping, you can see what it looks like. Then you continue wearing your beads. We're on the second layer. Yeah, finally, yes, we're in the last stage, and this happens to be the 5th layer. You can see how beautiful it looks like. So we'll continue until we're done. So now we're in the 5th layer. You see how beautiful it looks? The more the layers, the more the beauty. So we have to continue until we get to the final stage. So once you get to where the divider is, you cross it like I have explained on the video. Till after crossing it over, continue wearing the bead. We have come to the final stage, and this is what it looks like. And at the end of the knotting, you can just quietly tie the fishing line. You can just quickly tie it here. Since you are using your stopper, you can leave it if you want to, but to avoid embarrassment or stories that touches the heart, the person might not be satisfied. Then you do your clipping as usual. After doing your clipping, now comes our layers. So the quantity of bead I had was able to come out in 5 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first step I did, if you watch carefully well, is the same process. You can continue until you get to the final stage. So when you are done, you can see that there are some parts that are remaining on the divider. So you use your cutter to take it off. It's something you have to do. Taking it off. So we're done. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and comment. Bye. Love you guys.